Hey, kiddo. You doing good? I ever told you about the story of the rainbow? Well, obviously I have. It's a story I tell every kid every day, I guess. Your old man was a little jealous of me, I mean, treating the other kids as if they were my own. His friends were practically his brothers at some points, but, it was only really an effort to make him feel, huh, to make him feel in a group, I guess. Strength in numbers were a pretty big thing back then. I guess they still are today. I don't really know with these youthful trends. Probably just me and my old age, but the world's really changed. Now, have I ever told you the story of how our family came to be? Specifically your, thing side. And, oh, you're actually the first grandchild that actually has wanted to listen to that story. Sadly, your parent, or, my kids wouldn't exactly want me telling the story, as it isn't the best thing to listen to. But it's a good thing that you know, alright? Come on. It'll be a fun way to learn about your own family history, so yeah. And maybe when you're old, you can become a historian and look at other family histories. Every family history has another story to tell. With that one transformation in the middle that completely flips the world upside down for that family, I guess. Well, for our family at least, we had several of those. Not at all the nicest experience. Before I start, let me just quickly take a sip, because this is going to be a long one. Alright. So, where should I begin? Well, in my youthful days, I was a pretty affluent traveler, I guess. I traveled around the world only once. My parents did it twice. They always love outdoing me, I guess, but now that they're 6 feet under, they must have lived a good one. Yeah, so I like, like all my friends did, we all traveled around the world. Great journeys, many stories to tell from that, and that'll be another story, I guess. Good old Joey. Anyway, so I was traveling around the world with a couple friends of mine, and we all thought it'd be time to depart our own separate ways, I guess. So, from, central Japan, within the heart of Tokyo, that's where we all departed. We took one group photo, then from then on I guess we never saw each other after that. That was the last time I've ever heard from. Anywho, I went my own way. I ended up going to... I tried going to Singapore, but I ended up, for some reason, just stopping off at Thailand. Don't know what brought me to that country, but I guess it was kind of fate. Because after a good old year of staying in a tiny apartment house, I guess, I did meet a kind of old one. She wasn't old back then, but if she was still alive now, I guess she would be. She was a good one. Why am I making it sound as if she's so foreign? I don't know why. But, yeah. We met in the bar, I guess. Sounds pretty... would it be? I wonder if they still use that cliche nowadays. The good old boy meets girl in a bar kind of ordeal, but that's how it kind of went. I sat there after a day of working in the bar, because I actually worked there, and then the boss told me to take a break, I guess. I've been working for the past 8 hours prior to this, and I decided to, commit to the boss's order and take a break. Was wiping the sweat from my brows, I guess. That kind of proved enough to make it seem as if I was tired, so yeah, I sat there for a good 5 minutes, just looking around, I guess. Looking outside and the direct narrow view to the mountain cave, with all the miners coming out, headed straight for the bar. That bar was a good old miners' hotspot, that place was. Many good people there. Many new stories I could tell you. But that, again, is for another day. And on the topic of meeting people, I, already said, but I met your grandmother. And it wasn't really the most straightforward kind of meetup. It was more or less she was looking for someone. I never ended up learning who, but judging from what it was at the time, I'm guessing it was her fiancé, but so she came to the bar, and I guess when we first looked eyes on each other, we both didn't really see anything. However, after a while of talking and me trying to help her for a month, I guess that was just the person who I was. I was looking to try help people. Even my own kids were pretty, Your old man did follow in my footsteps. Pretty good chap, not gonna lie. As I came to meet this woman, and we gained a stronger relationship, we got married. And we obviously, settled down for a bit, and she, at the time, was working in a bakery, and the apartment that she had was pretty spacious for what it was, and as such she invited me to move in. The actual owner of the bakery was a fine old wealthy chap, and he was more than kind enough to let me stay there along with her, because sadly the place that I was staying in wasn't exactly the safest place to be in, with pretty much the most irritating, per se. I would use a more ambitious word, but at the time I don't want to be a bit too rude in front of you. I'll probably use more language like that around you when you're older, but for the time being, you're still young. And yeah, we stayed in the same apartment, and over time we made our own little family. Our first child, we named him Taro. I mean, she named him Taro. I was never good at naming. I mean, for Pete's sake, I did name my own dog Rapscallion. Pretty weird name, yeah, I know, but just kind of the dream I had. And soon after, we did have a second child. Her name was Sakura. More of a Japanese theme, not gonna lie, but I guess that was where their origin stood out. I was of clear white descent, and also with a hint of Asian, as my family tree does go back quite far. And yeah, so my kids are pretty much a good 75-25 ratio, I guess, in terms of Asian and white. Obviously Asian being a more prominent thing, but our first child pretty much looked as if he was fresh out of England, I guess. However, the way he, the environment and the people he was around kind of made him the most Asian-influenced kid I've ever seen in a while. At times I couldn't even tell he was my own son. I thought he was beyond me, really. Sorry, I paused for a bit there, yeah. Taro was definitely an independent kid. If you ever gave him advice, it would take a while to stick. And only if he deemed it really important, then probably only then he would take it in, I guess. And Sakura was definitely a good kid. She listened to everything I said, made sure to not disobey the law, compared to her older brother, that is. But he never got caught, so, in a way, kind of good and kind of bad, so. I mean, he is more mature now than he ever was in his entire lifetime, so. Well, he did learn, I guess. And life was pretty straightforward for the most part. We kind of enjoyed ourselves having family picnics in the local forest, which don't even know whether it exists anymore. Heard Taiwan was heavily hit by mass development, but yeah, at the time, the region that I was in wasn't the most developed, which is why a lot of it was forest at the time, but it was primarily an emerging economy with alright infrastructure. As you can tell, I did have my fair share of geographical studies at the time, but I guess that's what kind of influenced my dream to travel. This ecotourism kind of encouraged me to do so, and there I was, with a family, in a pretty rural area, living the life that I never thought I would have. Until it took the turn for the worst. I received news that the country's economy wouldn't be doing all too good. It wasn't just the country, it was the entire world, so even if we moved, that wouldn't help us out at all. We didn't even have enough money to move. Not everybody, at least. And, the entire world was, for the most part, suffering from a great recession. Oil prices weren't doing all too well, and as such, fossil fuels were kind of in high demand. So then, a small idea, kind of localized, kind of rural thing, because there was a mine so close by, I guess a lot of people were forced. Alright, I'm trying to remember this, but if I can remember properly, the rural state demanded that all people who were born and bred of Taiwan, who were born there and are citizens of that country, and were in the area, weren't allowed to leave, and instead they would have to work inside of the mines. Which I thought was actually alright, because the pay in the mines were actually becoming pretty valuable in terms of the high demand, I guess, for fossil fuels, so that was a kind of good thing, but I guess we never looked at the possibility. So after 3 months or 4 months after working in the mines, obviously more explosions are being used to break into nearby tunnel systems, bridging the gaps between other mining. I guess a lot of work was being done, which sure was a good thing and definitely earned our family quite a lot of money, but it meant that we weren't able to see her for a good while. And sadly, because of the explosions, they broke into a nearby methane pocket in the ground. Not sure it was methane, but it was a heavily intoxicating natural gas, I guess, which, if extracted properly and detected properly, maybe they could have stopped it. But sadly, it was deep underground, and the chance of somebody escaping would be near to none unless they were near the entrance of the mine, which, at the time, she was working in Sector C apparently, or Sector D, I don't know, but it was one of the deeper cores. An area where they were primarily trying to get coal or other hardened fossil fuels, and if they could, probably a natural gas, but not entirely sure how to extract it, so for the meantime they would ignore it. Then, whilst they were trying to extract a large quantity of iron, and that's what kind of happened. Not sure on the death count though, but many of them did sadly pass. And everybody didn't know about it. And all we were told was to meet our family members at the gates. Probably me being too joyful to see my wife again would kind of blind my visage of what I wanted to be true. So there I was, standing, holding Sakura in my arms. She was still just a small child, and Taro holding my other hand, and obviously the owner of the bakery nearby too, because his wife was also in the mines. I could always rely on that chap. And as we all stared down the tunnel, we kind of looked at what was made out to be boxes, I guess. Very scruffy, but it was pretty blatant what they were. So I guess the next time I would ever be able to see her was if I too passed. And overall, my kids broke down in my arms, but yet I broke down first. I was never too strong. I could never, be there for them. And I guess that's where I met your father, Manny. Manny was definitely a good kid. I saw him crying by himself. I quickly made the assumption that both his parents were dead, and to which I was correct. The baker, who has luckily learnt, the owner of the bakery, who, as I say again, close friends of mine, but pretty English chap still, but he learnt the language, and so he was fortunately able to translate, but Manny never spoke, which I found to be quite the issue, so we did have to request permission to look at his forms, check his information, as he would technically be an orphan now. Both of his parents had indeed died, and in a way I didn't feel like I could leave the kid. So I decided to take him in, I guess. As there was more room inside of the large house we were staying in, opened up by the owner of the bakery. Wow, he really did help a lot. Without him, I'll be wondering if our family would even be in this country. Well, so looking through Manny's files the day we moved him in, I found out that he had one parent still alive, and that was his Hispanic origin mother. It took us, quite a couple hours of going through it, but yeah. As Crusaders came from the Hispanic regions of the world, they came across Asia, and a lot of them were taken out as of their beliefs, and only a few made it to Taiwan. And they bared a child, and they had to give up that child to a family, I guess. Don't know all the details, but apparently something made his original parents leave. We're not sure about whether his original dad is still alive, but I guess we're his third family. And I didn't want to be the ones to leave him. May sound a bit daft, but I guess third times the charm, I guess. Huh. I always tried to be what I wasn't. I tried to be the good, independent dad, but I always ended up relying on other people. So, I spent a couple days after that looking for a contract. Something that would get me enough money. Get my family enough money, sorry, because I wanted to get us out of Taiwan. The person who we were staying with at the time, the baker, the owner of the store, he understood more than well, and he advised that I would head to more of a urbanized region, so that's what I did. I stayed there for a couple months and constantly sent messages back because I never wanted them to worry. The owner of the bakery used a portion of the money that I sent him to buy or to hire a nanny, and the rest of it to pay for their food. He was more than willing to do it himself, but I couldn't make him, do more for my family. He's done too much as it is. And after a while of working in the area that I was in, the actual area that I worked in was in more of a developing area. So I did use my architectural skills to kind of earn myself back the money, I guess. I reaped what I sowed when I first studied architecture, so yeah. Now, I had enough money, and I finally came back to my family after 6 months in, and when I came back, I felt like I missed an entire portion of my kids' lives. Sakura had already learned how to walk, and Tara has already been learning a different language. Mania, of course, has finally been able to open up to the family, and I missed all that, so I had to obviously catch up with him. I wanted to welcome the kid into our family, so that's what I did. I obviously got more money than I needed just in case, but, you can never be safe or sorry. You can always be certain. And fortunately, in that case, when we did decide to move to the urban area just for a week before we ended up moving out to the UK. Did we ever move out to the UK? We moved out to a country, and then we moved... I'm sorry, my old mind's kind of... My laugh is just another way of saying that I'm too forgetful, but... So, as we were moving out to central Taiwan, we ended up meeting another orphan, and as a result, it wasn't the nicest feeling again. But yet I felt like I had another responsibility. I felt like I had something to do. Sakura fondly came to know this person as Athena. Didn't know her actual name. We didn't have any formal documentation. But all we knew was that she was abandoned. I mean, it was pretty obvious from the scars on her arms and cheeks. But we didn't know what kind of stuff she was going through. She couldn't even tell us because she was very young. And Sakura, being 3 to 4 years of age, I don't even know anymore. Probably even 5 or 6, I've completely forgot. But those two were practically inseparable after that day. Athena finally felt like she had a home from the looks of it, and so we took her in. The extra money did come in handy, I guess. Because then we ended up taking all of us, all 5 of us, to where we are now, I guess. But we actually ended up renting out an apartment just down the road from here, I believe. And it was very close to, the people in our society, so we could try to bond with people, and try to feel like we belonged there. And in a way, we always did. And it kind of hurt after a while, though. Because at the time, we had a house, and we only owned one room of the 5-roomed building. House at the time, sorry. It wasn't much of a building. And the room was pretty small. Minuscule in comparison to what we had back in Taiwan. And I guess after working for a while, again finding a pretty good job in the industrial region of our country, I was able to get some more money, but the recession was still in effect. A lot of money was being invested in oil, so that's where I had to move my profession to. I ended up going to the very edge of the good old country of which we took home upon, and I had to leave my kids again. Luckily though, in this country, we did have relatives. I had relatives here, and they look after my kids, which was more than a joy, because my kids had no idea who they were, and it was either now or never, I guess. I mean, they never had the opportunity before because we were in different countries, and I was a lone child, and these weren't any of my siblings. They were more or less close friends who I've known throughout my entire life, and I could confidently say that they were like family to me. So in a way, they kind of took over my role as parent. And as I worked away, working on alternatives of energy, as our country was still in crisis, like everybody else was, it only became more easy, I guess. As more oil was being found, the recession became less and less of an issue. And also, Saudi Arabia became more of a prominent wealth. I don't know. Became more of a prominent standing in the oil market. So, I kind of ended my job off there, ended up going back to more of the central regions of our country, and as such, finally had time to spend with my family. However, this time the overall length I spent away from my family was significantly longer. I ended up spending 4 years away from my family. 7. That's the age Taro was when I came back. And to think he was just, was he even 7? I don't even know. All I know is that he was a significant age above Sakura. Probably around 1.5 years, so I would say maybe 8 to like 9 at the time. Or even pushing it to a 10, but all I'm saying is that I missed a lot. And all I'm happy is that I can at least make up that time with my grandkids. Sorry if this story is kind of lasting a while, but so from there, again, I had to reconnect with my kids and family again, because I've missed so much. I barely had enough time before to regain the time that I missed with my kids. I mean, I barely even knew Athena. She still seemed pretty foreign to me, but nothing said I couldn't treat her the same like I treated my other kids. And well, even though I came back, I still felt like I had something to do. The money that I made, I heavily invested in my own children's education. And then the money that I had spare each month, I invested in purchasing another room in the house. So I wanted the kids to feel as if they had a spacious childhood, something that they could remember. Something that they could feel like they could give their kids when they're older. After a while though, after Taro, Sakura, Athena and Manny were all grown up, I mean at least to the point where they could move out, I ended up moving out as well. I ended up getting a pretty small house down the road from there. Something that wouldn't have me walking around all too much because my legs were giving in, I guess, from all the manual labor an architect had to do back then rather than simply commanding people around like they do these days, apparently. But, yeah. So now, Athena, Sakura, and Manny all decided to move out to the States. How are the States, anyway? Nice. Huh. Your father's definitely... Sorry. That's just my throat giving in. Ah. Yeah, how's your father? Is he doing good? I don't feel like I could ask him, really. Because he would just give me the same old, oh, I'm doing fine. He quickly looks back at his phone. Wow, technology sure has changed the kid. You do know that I recently had to tell him about his past, you know. And it was definitely not the easiest thing on me or him. He went through quite a decay mentally, and I had to talk him through it, really. I told him most of the story right here, but he knew pretty much most of it because he experienced it. And Athena, I still feel like I could have done more to really understand her. I have no form of intention of ever hating on her, but I guess I never had the chance to really build the bond with her. But I gave her what, you know, I feel like she would have been lacking if she would have stayed back there. Sakura and Tara are obviously my two kids biologically, but I treat them no different to Manny and Athena, and vice versa. They're marked in my favor, and Manny has so many kids already, I guess. Manny has one. I don't know. He adopted DGR. Mia. And well, looking back at our family tree, it's pretty interesting, I guess. Tara only has the one, but that kid is definitely... I can sense he's just like his father. Tara recently got married to, or supposedly engaged to, a girl named Nico. Heavily influenced by a friend named Magnitude, I guess. And yeah, this family tree has gone a long way from where it once was. From the infant type seedling that it was, just lying in the back of my own imagination, to now having the troublemaker Taro having a family of his own. Sakura too has... Sakura has a few kids, I think. I don't know. I've already lost track, and already I'm a great-grandparent. 'Cause I heard that your older sister actually already has a kid. How does it feel being the youngest? I mean, I was a lone child, so I would never know. Going back to Mary's origin mother, I know we're a bit off topic, but yeah. We still never got back into contact with her, and recently, yeah. It's been a bit of a daze, really, trying to remember everything. One of Sakura's kids, named Watson, is definitely a good old pride and joy and a good representation of Sakura. I guess this family is just a whole bunch of different ages. We have an already quite mature parent, Reggie, or Rigi. I never know how to say their names. I feel bad. I guess from my old age and my pretty white accent, I guess. I love my family equally. I treat them all as my family members, although some of them are adopted. Manny adopted, and Manny as such did the same. He adopted Iono and DGR channel. But at the end of the day, I guess you are a part of one big, happy family. And that's why you're important. Because you stick out like a sore thumb. Don't we all? And even though you're different, like everybody else is, I guess, I'll still treat you equally. And trust me, kid, I see the ambition in your eyes. For all I know, you may take after me, your old man. But I guess that's for you to decide. Make your future bright and make it great, kid. I'll see you around. Adios, my G.